I'm from New England. I am going to read snow poems, not literally snow poems. I write fiction, and although fiction writers may have more fun, reading fiction is definitely not more fun because you've got to do the whole like, all right, so here we are, and this is what happened, and this guy, oh, and you got to know this guy, and this guy, here's the guy's aunt. So this will all come in my 8 minutes, don't worry. My new book is December Voices over there. I'm going to read the first book in the series, Lamentation. It fits better with the solidarity theme. What you need to know is we're in New Hampshire, northern New Hampshire, very snowy, very cold. The name of the sheriff is Turley, the name of the cop is Turley. And Lamentation, the J. Porter series, which we've just sold a couple more, so I'll be writing this book until 2020, which kind of blows me away. Like every year I'm releasing a new book. But at the heart of the story is two brothers. One's named Jay Porter, his brother Chris is a junkie. Their parents died when they were very young, and Chris is significantly older than Jay, and their roles have been reversed, where Chris is homeless and Jay sort of has to take care of him, but Jay isn't exactly put together himself and works in the state clearing, kind of hand-to-mouth sort of guy. This picks up where Jay has just gone, and instead of seeing his ex-girlfriend and kid, he has to pick up his brother from the police station where the cops have his brother again. We bounced along old country roads in my battered Chevy without talking, strapped with a ratty brown backpack in which he carted his world. Chris had bummed a smoke when he first climbed in, but he hadn't spoken a word since. He looked like shit. I'd expected him to look bad. Somehow he looked even worse than that. Half his head was sheared in a bleached-out homemade haircut, crusted bloody slits around the ears like he'd used glass shards for scissors and a toaster for a mirror. In the dim blue-gray light of the cab, he resembled a cadaver, waxy, colorless flesh drawn tightly over protruding bone. His eyes, two vacuous pits set deep in the sockets with giant black rings around them, and his badly neglected teeth stuck out. When he sucked on his cigarette, he pulled so hard you'd think his eyeballs might disappear straight through the back of his head, and the whole thing would instantly turn to ash. In the 5 or 6 months since I'd seen him last, Chris appeared to have lost weight. I'd seen cancer patients with more meat on their bones. At over 6 feet tall, he couldn't have weighed more than $140. Despite the long time apart, I felt no joy in our reunion. I'm pretty sure the feeling was mutual. We were brothers, blood on blood, and that counts for something. There had been a time right after the accident when our parents died when we had been close, but those days were long behind us now. I steered up Axelrod Road past Time Machinery where our father had worked. I could still recall the horror stories he'd tell, hot solvent scouring the skin, limbs caught in gears, a Gothic novel nightmare. The factory used to employ half of Ashton, but went under years ago, literally. The building had been abandoned so long that the crumbling structure was sinking back into the earth. Crooked trees and unruly vegetation fastened onto the frame. Roots and weeds erupted from hard soil, sprawling up through the cracks, coiling around anchors and joists, latching onto studs and roof beams. Each time I passed the cracked foundation and shattered glass, I think of the tremendous sacrifices our father had made to give us a good home, which in turn would make me only feel like a bigger bastard for not being able to do the same for my son. I glanced over at my brother. Chris didn't have a coat. He wore the same threadbare t-shirt he always did, dark blue with a pair of faded cherries from the old Pac-Man arcade game. Every time I saw him, he was wearing it. What kind of a life do you lead when you only own one t-shirt? His dirty jeans coated in a slick, greasy sheen, stank like rank cheese and gasoline with the heater and my truck not working. Chris must have been freezing his balls off. I was bundled in layers and could barely keep from shivering. I'd asked him a couple times if he wanted my coat, but he shook me off. I'm sure he'd been outside and worse. Nothing but static on the radio, which was normal for these parts. My CD player was broken and only made a clacking sound when you stuck in a disc. I had a new stereo my boss Tom had given me, still in the box, shrink-wrapped and everything, but I hadn't bothered opening the package, which sucked because I kept my entire music collection in my truck. Anytime I was in the mood for some tunes, stuck fruitlessly twiddling the knob, I gazed down at all the music I couldn't play. It only served as a reminder that I couldn't get my act together. Usually I didn't mind the quiet, but tonight, sitting next to my brother, the silence only amplified the distance between us. The roads hadn't been plowed and the town wouldn't send out trucks until the storm calmed. Couldn't go faster than 15 miles an hour. I'd fishtail into a culvert. Where are we going, Chris finally asked. My place, I guess, unless you have somewhere else you need to be. It was a dick thing to say, since we both knew he didn't. As much as he disgusted me at that moment, I wasn't kicking my brother out to roam dark, snowy streets in a t-shirt. I didn't know where he slept most nights. The bus station in Longmont, the Y on Kirby, one of the motels on the turnpike, a crackdown, no fucking idea. This was my flesh and blood brother sitting next to me, and the reality of his life was as graspable to me as ether. Following Turley's story down at the jail, I'd been anticipating non-stop conspiracy theories and anti-government gibberish about all the ways the authorities were out to screw Chris, which was a recurring theme in my brother's life, because it was always about him. It was pathetic how Chris tried to inject relevance into his existence this way. He didn't understand that he was inconsequential, it didn't matter, that he was expendable. They could find my brother frozen beneath a tree in a park or with a needle in his arm in some Skid Row rooms. They most certainly would someday, and nobody's life would be impacted, not even mine. In my more honest moments, I'd have to admit, to know about myself, that the sorrow I might feel for this loss would be immediately offset by the tremendous sense of relief. Thanks.